I went back and forth a lot whether I should make a video about this topic or not, but I got so many questions on here, or even neighbors driving by seeing all my animals roaming the land in harmony and asking me, how do you do it? How did you introduce your dogs to your chickens, your ducks, your goats? Why do they all get along so well? Now I know the dislikers are already sitting there shivering, shaking, waiting to click the dislike button as soon as I say something, or as soon as they see that I do not live my life the way that they do. Welcome to you guys too. However, on the other hand, for the lovers and the peacemakers of the world, may the love return to you 100-fold. Number one, I am not giving advice. I do not know your dogs, nor do I know your situation. I am just telling you how I did it. I also hate to be the bearer of bad news, but all dogs are not gonna get along with your other animals. And I know it sucks to hear it, but sometimes you gotta know when you gotta stop. Number two, I am not a professional dog trainer. I am just an animal lover with amazing, fantastic dogs. Everybody believes that they have the best dog, and they are absolutely right. But it doesn't mean that this is going to be right for your dog. I have heard so many people say that there are certain types of dogs, certain breeds of dogs that will never be able to get along with chickens or ducks or goats, whatever, with livestock. And I agree to disagree, because I have two very, very different breeds. I have a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. He's a terrier and he is absolutely fine with all of my animals. And then I also have a German Shepherd Rhodesian Ridgeback mix. Same thing, she is amazing with all of my animals. My Staffy is 4 years old. He got introduced to my animals, to my first chickens, when he was 3 years old. And then my German Shepherd mix was introduced to my chickens at around 4 or 5 months old. And she adapted a lot quicker, because I personally think, in my humble opinion, that dogs can adapt quicker the younger they are when they are introduced to these animals. The most important part to remember is that dogs are dogs, and it is absolutely unfair of us to expect them to be anything else. As animal parents, it is our responsibility to keep our animals safe and to consider both parties, both the dogs and the chickens in this scenario. For example, I tried introducing my friend's dog to my chickens, because every time they would come over, he would chase them around. So I decided, all right, let me introduce your dog to my chickens and try to get things to work. And after a while, I just realized that my chickens are getting stressed out, they are not loving life, and that it was time to pull the plug. I had to say, stop, this is no longer fair towards my chickens. Now, I know that some people may just see a $3 chicken, but to me, it is a living soul. And aside from the fact that it is really a lot of work raising these animals, I'm doing it with so much love and care, giving all of my animals Reiki, giving them personal attention, making sure that each single one of them is healthy and happy. I will do everything in my power to keep my babies safe. And also to give them the best possible life. Every time I bring an animal home, me and my husband both tell this little animal, welcome to the best life ever. We don't eat the animals that we raise here, but even if you do eat the animals that you raise, what a beautiful gesture, what a beautiful exchange to give each of your animals the best possible life. It is a way to show gratitude for sustaining and nourishing your body. This journey starts with my dog's well-being. Step number one, we smother our dogs with love. There is no doubt in their minds that they are not loved and important in this family. Even if we go out to dinner one night or whatever, we come back, it's close to midnight, we're tired, we want to go to bed, we will sit on the couch and snuggle with them for at least half an hour to just make them feel loved, fill their little cups or their little metaphorical bowls of love, and then go to bed. Step number 2 is we keep our dogs stimulated. This can be through daycare, not as much anymore. When Iceman was an only child, we used to do that a lot more, but now that we've got a lot of other animals going on, and with Maggie as well, he doesn't go to daycare that often. Another way we do this is through toys. They love chewing. We get the Super Chewer box from BarkBox, so this is a monthly subscription. If you want to check it out, there is a link in the description below. It's a friends and family referral link. You get something, I get something, we all get something. And these are the most durable toys I have ever gotten my dogs. There are some of the toys that Iceman has had for 3 years, and they are still perfectly fine, and both of my dogs love these toys. Step 3 is exercise. So this also depends on the breed. Maggie, for example, can run for days, whereas Iceman is more of a short sprint kind of guy, and he also overheats really quickly in summertime. So in summer, he's more of a splash pad kind of little man. Snyder Park is a great option to take your dog swimming. If you haven't seen that video about it yet, please check it out. In my opinion, these are all important things even before my chicks arrived, the first chicks that I raised. And then finally, when I did get my first chicks, I raised them in my living room. All right, so let's go to actual intros. Step 1. I had a makeshift brooder in my living room, and my dogs were constantly exposed to the cheeping of these little chicks. However, they were unable to get into the brooder, which is such an important thing. You need to make sure the brooder is dog-proof. Sometimes we also took one chick out of the brooder, held it in our hands, and allowed the dogs to sniff this little chick and get a little bit more of a close-up sniff. But we did see this as a 2-person activity, and we were still extremely cautious, not that they would snap at it, and that would be the end. One night I cleaned out the entire brooder, put down all new shadings, and that was the one night that Iceman decided, I'm looking that way because he's lying over there, that was the one night he decided to scale the brooder walls and jump inside. He landed in between the chicks, thank goodness not on top of any of them, because it was a high brooder and he's never tried to jump in there before. So he went to sit in a little corner, and I allowed him to sit there and stay there. He was actually a really good boy. The main thing, I believe, is curiosity. He just wants to see, what are these things that are so different to me, and why do they get this special treatment of a whole little house inside of the house for themselves? So around week 3, it is time to move the chicks outside. If you are raising your chicks from day-old chicks, I got videos about that, raising chicks, so please go check out those videos. I got a part 1, part 2, and a part 3. So once the chicks were ready to move outside the house, that's around week 3 that they are ready for some field trips, depending on the area that you live in as well. We live in Florida, it's hot, it was March, it was time for these chickies to go outside. We contained them inside a little pen that was definitely not dog friendly, but the main idea with this pen was to keep them contained and not let them be eaten by hawks or any aerial predators. Iceman especially was not allowed at that time to go outside without any supervision. Maggie was a lot better. At that point, she didn't even show that much interest anymore. Once again, I think her age played a big role in this. So I had to be very strict with Iceman and use my strict mom voice. And that usually gets his attention. Either my strict mom voice or Sean's strict dad voice. That usually gets him to listen. I kind of want to circle back to my dogs knowing that they are loved and important in this family. Whenever we had friends or family come over to look at the chicks, Iceman would turn into a monkey man and do something silly. He would fake snap at a chicken, like almost like he wants to go for it, but he's not really into it. He just wanted attention. He's that kind of dog. He wants to be number one. He was the only child for 3 years long, so I do not blame him for this. This is just his personality, and I see him and I work with that. So what I would usually have him do is I would distract him and make him do his favorite trick for people, which is Shavasana. Shavasana is a yoga pose it translates as corpse pose, and that's the final resting pose at the end of a yoga class. Shavasana. No, do a proper one. Come on. That's a good boy. And once he strikes his little pose, people ooh and ah about him, and then he can feel important and special because he truly is. And he could also feel that way. He knows I'm talking about him. He's coming over. You want to say hi? Come on. Come here. You want to say hi? Maggie wants to come say hi. Hi, Bubba's. Hi. Hi, sweetie. Oh, I love you. We're gonna continue, okay? Sit down. Sit. Okay, mommy's gonna continue. Eventually, when I moved the chickens to the coop, I would allow the dogs to come with me, but they couldn't get to the chickens. So they could see them, but they couldn't actually get to them. And then anytime that I needed to work on the coop, because there was still a lot of work that needed to be done, I would take the dogs with me and they would get to hang out a little bit more. Something that I also did was while I was working there, I would allow the dogs to come inside, see the chickens, and then get out so that they don't get overexcited, but they get to see the chickens and then go back out. Another reason you don't really want your dogs in your chicken coop is because they will have little snackies in the form of chicken poop, okay? They will eat chicken poop. So not what we want. In the beginning, the dogs were extremely excited to go to the chicken coop every single time, but over time, they started becoming more and more relaxed. It started becoming like, all right, we know, there's nothing totally exciting going on there. This was about around week 10 of having them. It is extremely important not to leave your dogs unsupervised with your chickens. And then I personally believe that most dogs will never, ever, ever be able to be with chickens unsupervised without potentially doing something dog-like, like catching a chicken. So this is just a good rule in general. Don't leave dogs unsupervised with livestock. When my chickens started free-ranging around week 12 of age, I allowed them out of the coop and they were able to, during the day, free range on the property. The one Isa Brown would come up to Iceman and peck him in the face. And he was so good about it because he's shorter, so closer to the chicken, so she would peck him in the face. And Maggie, on the other hand, with her longer legs, it didn't really affect her so much. But this is the one little confrontation area that Iceman encountered, but it was nothing huge. He really took it so well. Now, every single time that I get new animals, whether it is just another batch of chicks or ducklings or goats, I feel like I have to restart the entire process to a certain extent. It is new excitement and the dogs are like, what's going on? What are these animals that now need all of your attention? For me, it was slightly easier to introduce my dogs to my goats, and this could be because the goats are more dog-sized, so it's not like a tiny little chick. That might make the difference. When they first noticed the goats, they ran outside barking, and the hair on their backs were all the way up. So I let them just look at the goats from outside of the fence, and then eventually, same day still, I allowed them to come into the goat area, sniff the goats, and of course Iceman thinks that warm goat milk is a massive perk. And yeah, so the goats was definitely the easiest introduction. Maybe this is because my dogs are already used to me bringing home chicks, ducks, whatever, so the goats was kind of easy. I truly hope that you found this video interesting. Maybe there's something that resonated with you that you can apply in your introductions between dogs and chickens, or dogs and ducks, or whatever it may be. And if not, I just hope you enjoyed watching my dogs get along with my animals. Other than that, just love your animals, love them for who they are, love your dogs, even if they don't get along with your livestock. Just give them all the love, sending you and your animals all the love. It is truly my biggest wish that all beings are free from suffering, all beings are at ease, and that all beings can be happy. And I wish that for you and your animals too.